There's about 800 volunteers. That's a huge amount of people to try to coordinate and to have present and to help. And I think about that because for 20 years, I ran a company, and so it's a very huge responsibility for the volunteer services department.
I help with clerical, which is not just the everyday task in the office, but also helping out, making sure all the volunteers come in, and if they're not, helping them get situated with their areas as well.
I've been volunteering now. I'm in my 25th year, and I have 11,000 plus hours. We have a committee called the Volunteer Service Committee, and we do fundraising, the 12 of us. And I think the most that we ever did from one bake sale was $3,000, but that was in one day, and that's a lot of cupcakes.
We have all kinds of art and crafts, as well as games to play, and so we get the children involved in something they like to do. So one of the first things we do when they first come in is we said, well, what would you like to do?
I started volunteering because I'm a patient here. I actually have a kidney transplant, and I am an oncology patient as well. I started volunteering because I felt like as a patient, I really enjoyed and appreciated what volunteers did for us as patients, and I felt like I wanted to be that volunteer.
I've been volunteering at Chalk Children's Hospital for 5 years. Nellie is my partner in crime, and we have just such an honor and a privilege to be part of the children's lives. We get to visit them, some at the very worst of times, and hopefully we try to make the time that she's with them a little bit better.
My first role here was patient hospitality, and then after the first of the year, because I loved my volunteering here at Chalk Children's Hospital, I enjoyed it so much I added the customer service ambassador role.
Buddying is definitely special. You're caring for the whole family. Like the staff is taking care of them medically and spiritually, but even like the volunteers, we just take it to the extra level, and we provide that sense of like comfort and support for the family and the child. I try to go out of my way to make sure like their needs are being met. We really like advocate play because it's a hospital, but we also want them to remain children.
People should volunteer at Chalk just to get that experience in your life of making a difference, making a change. Talking to a parent for 2 minutes, letting them tell you what they're going through, those little things mean the world to these families and to these patients, to these children.
We have such a great time together. We work off of each other, we bounce off of each other so well, and I think we just make a really good comedic team for our Super Sunday volunteers and for the patients on the floor.
One of the reasons I'm here is that my grandson was born with transposition of the great arteries. So I have a real keen connection to the cardiovascular intensive care here. And I've actually seen and visited families with their children have the same problem.
I'm actually an oncology patient myself, and Chalk Children's Hospital helped save my life. So this is, volunteering was always something I felt passionate about and knew I wanted to do. It was a way to give back and say thank you.
As a volunteer, I work in the patient hospitality department. We like to take care of the patients during the entire length of their stay. So we visit them at bedside, we provide age-appropriate activities for them, we play with them, and we also check to see if they need anything. So in addition to that, we also help assist the discharge process. We accompany the parents from their rooms to their cars to make sure they don't get lost, just to make sure we provide that CHOC customer service throughout their entire stay.
I started volunteering at CHOC Children's Hospital because I really wanted to be involved in helping kids get better and feel better. Also, I wanted to volunteer at CHOC Children's because I myself want to become a physician one day.
In the morning, she'd get me up super early as a puppy to go out, but instead of going back in her crate, she would come in and I'd put a towel next to me in bed and I'd lay her down and we'd have quiet moment. And she does that to this day with the kids in the bed. We put a little pad down for her and she gets real close and snuggles in with the kids and they get to snuggle with her, and it's from when she was a puppy, I think. She just kind of knows that they need that, so it's nice.
We have always been drawn to CHOC by our family situation with our disabled little sister, Allison. My sister looked forward to having the volunteers come in to her room, and when the volunteers would come in, they would take her out of that place and put her in a happy place, and my sister would just light up, and she would change in a matter of minutes, and she would look forward to coloring and face painting and doing all those little things that just took her to a better place, and the volunteers brought that out of her. So seeing that was just one way that we knew we wanted to give back someday.
Yeah, there was a specific moment when we knew what we wanted to pursue as a career choice as an occupational therapist. During a visit that we came here and visited our younger sister, Allison. She was just about to start an inpatient occupational therapy session. Being able to view and witness that session, we were like, who are you? What are you doing? And how can we become you someday?
We were doing Valentine's for Valentine's Day, and it so happened that same time Minnie Mouse came from Disney. Well, when Minnie came in, she got to this little girl who was cutting out hearts, and she wanted to make a Valentine for Minnie specifically. The helper asked if she'd like then Minnie to sign it, have her autograph, and of course the little girl was thrilled, so she did. Well, in the meantime, I had cut out a couple of hearts, and so Minnie saw that I was doing that, and she asked then if she could get a Valentine for this little girl and get her signature. That was, it was really moving, and there was a dry eye in the room because it was so sincere. That was probably the most moving experience I've had.
There was one little girl who so bored one day, and I walk into her room, I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna go do something fun. So she was doing origami, and she's like, here, I want to teach you how to make this origami box. And I'm like, okay, I'm not good at this, but show me how. And she showed me how to make the box, and I just looked at it and I'm like, but it's an empty box, we need to put something in it. And I knew how to make origami stars. So like little puffy origami stars. So I showed her how to make them, and we filled both of our boxes with them. And I won't ever forget that.
I had discharged a family to the parking structure, visitor parking structure. I was walking back in, and there was a man outside of the spiritual care area over there on the phone and just sobbing. And I just could not walk away from leaving that man there. So I just went back over and I just put my hand on his shoulder and sat with him. He was looking for courage to go back up to the PICU to his wife and his little daughter that was going through a tough time. I could not let that man sit there by himself.
You know, I may be pushing a piece of paper, but I'm helping somebody in the end to have, you know, better experience, a better feeling, you know, maybe just lift them up a little bit every day.
When I go down to work with the staff who I work with, it's a very small staff. It's only 4 people. But when I work there, you know, they all come together. It's like a big family. They support each other so well. You know, like, it doesn't matter where you come from. If you have that same goal and you have that understanding and compassion for each other, like, you come together as family. That's something I want to keep with me.
It's like getting a present every time you come in here. And it's time to go home, and you sign out, and the little kids will say, well, will you come back next Tuesday? And you go, you betcha.
What keeps me here at Chalk Children's Hospital as a volunteer is simply the joy I get from spending with these kids every week. There is such a spirit and energy they have that rejuvenates me. It makes me put my own life into perspective.
I leave the hospital and I can't wait to tell the world about how amazing it is to be here and volunteer every Sunday. And everyone outside the hospital knows that, like, you know, she really enjoys what she does here, because when I talk about it, I just have big smiles on my face.
You get to see these kids light up when they see something new and different. So just by being a volunteer and asking the simplest question is, would you like a visit, empowers them to make their own decisions and to run their visit, how they get to play with a dog or color with a volunteer. They light up when they get to make those decisions, and that makes it worthwhile every time.
Chalk Children's Hospital is really prioritizing not only the children's health, but their happiness as well. And we're trying to just normalize the patient care process for them to make sure that we remember that they're kids first and patients second, and just making sure that they're living as normal of a life as we can provide for them. That's what makes it really gratifying for me as a volunteer.